Yes, good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone. My name is Pat Shanahan. I'm the Enterprise Sales Manager here at Glue Up. I'm going to be making some introductions as we talk about the webinar and go through with Sam Hirsch. So Sam Hirsch has been in the industry for quite some time. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing at Oasis LMS. And then with me as well is our co-founder and CEO, Eric Schmidt.
Great. Thank you, Pat, and welcome, Sam. Happy to have you and the Oasis team with us. For those of that of excuse me, for those of you that are joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on which time zone you're in. I know we have a few people from overseas, so it is evening time actually, where they might be. We're happy today to make sure that we launched our partnership with Oasis. Go a little bit through some of the details on the partnership of the two platforms and the integration, but also some of the theory behind really what makes a great user experience when we're talking about an association management software together with an LMS and how they really can work together. At the end of the day, integrations are supposed to work on behalf of the users, the end users specifically, who need to be able to operate, who need to be able to update their continuing education credits to be able to get certified and really be able to do what they need to for their profession. We're here today to talk a little bit about that, run through some of the, different features that are available, but even more importantly, to show you what it looks like and how it could work if you are looking for an AMS and LMS to work together. So I'm going to hand it back over and we're going to get started. But great to have, like I said, Sam, and we're happy to work with the team. Tom, the CEO, is not able to join us today, but I know he is hard at work doing lots of great things on the Oasis platform. So, Sam, welcome.
Thanks so much, Eric. And yes, Tom makes my life easy because he just makes sure the platform is great and works and our support is happy. And I just show how it works. But for those of you who may not be familiar with what a learning management system is or what it can do or what our system can do, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and then some of the pain points we're solving. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Patrick and Eric will tell me if I'm not sharing right now. But you all should see something that says what Oasis LMS supports. So probably most of you know what an LMS is, but just in case, a learning management system in the association space is really meant to deliver your education. That could be webinars, it could be official curriculum, certifications. In many cases, what we're supporting is some sort of continuing education. Doesn't matter to us. It could be CME, CE, CPD. It's every country, every institution calls it something a little bit different. But that's what Oasis LMS is built for, supporting your education. That means making it easy for people to find content, helping them log in. We'll talk a little bit about that because that's where the AMS comes in. Purchasing content, and that also is something that can happen in Glue Up now. And then actually taking the course, tracking them to make sure that they're actually doing it. So they're not just saying, yes, I did this, and then getting a CE or a credential or whatever it might be. And then, constantly putting them in that wheel of marketing to them. So typically when we're working with associations, education programs aren't standalone, right? They're oftentimes a member benefit. So, for example, a lot of times, members either pay a discounted price or it's free. And so from Oasis's LMS point of view, well, gosh, we need to know if they're a member or not a member. How do we do that? That's the integration with Glue Up. Think about this. You want to charge a member a certain price, but what if their membership expires? How in the LMS then do we know that we should be charging them a higher price now? So then they think, oh, shoot, I need to renew my membership, right? Again, has to do with an integration. As well, what you typically need from the learning side, reports on who's taking what credits, earning what courses, doing what certifications, what events are they attending? When I say events, that's usually learning events. not necessarily if you're trying to market something about your organization, but a lot of times people go to conferences or a lot of our clients do one-off webinars. So, what is that expectation? Can there be a seamless experience for the member? Um, and then here's kind of what the problem that we're solving for you. So if there wasn't an integrated solution, if your learning didn't talk to your membership, if Oasis didn't talk to Glue Up, what would be those problems? I think the biggest one is two different sign-ins. Every LMS requires a login because we need to be able to track people. So now you're going to have people who think they're logging into the LMS, but they're putting in their AMS credential. And I've seen this as a major pain point across my decade of experience of, so many customer complaints. Number two, your finance team. Now you have two separate places where transactions are taking place, right? Some in the LMS, some in the AMS. Well, can be really annoying for your finance team, whoever's managing your account system. Our integration puts that all together in one system. On that same topic, someone wants to buy, let's say a book, a membership, and a course. Well, now they're in two different places to do that. An LMS, right, for a course, and then, membership and say a book or some other product in the AMS. How do we put that together, right? So they're buying everything in one place. So I'm not going to read through all of this, but as you can imagine, those are really the friction points that when people come to us and the systems aren't integrated, that's what we hear, and that's what this integration is going to solve. So Pat and Eric, I'll pass it back to you and stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. So, and those of you on the call that have worked with Glue Up for some time, you know that we continue to talk about innovation and better ways to do things. As technology evolves, obviously Glue Up evolves, and as do the type of things that we can do from a technology standpoint. So again, it's never easy being in the world of software because there's always the one next thing. But we try to do more and more to make sure that people's lives become easier by using software. So let's turn it over to Pat now. Pat's going to run through a little bit of what things look like, and then we'll be able to, I think, roll into some Q&A after that. Over to you, Pat.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you so much. And, I was reviewing the attendee list here, so there are going to be folks that are familiar with us, but for anybody that I did see that I don't recognize the name, our background, 13-year-old company growing pretty rapidly based in the Washington, D.C. area, but capable of global operations. At our core, we're a CRM with member management, community. We got our starts in events. So a very scalable platform when it comes to all of these modules and sort of things that are a little bit a la carte when it comes to the solution that we form up for our customers. Things like automating the membership management lifecycle journey, which so many of associations still struggle with to this day, is really our forte, as well as do mobile apps and things like that. But we'll jump into the back end. We'll talk about the integration itself. So this should be fairly familiar looking to some of you, but this is the back end of Glue Up, right, where the modules are. This is a dashboard with 54 reports, some shortcuts, settings area during the implementation process, or if this is treated as an add-on, and you then go purchase Oasis to tack on, then we open up a ticket, we get like their tenant ID, and then the miracle behind it, it just goes to our tech team and they bolt on, the two platforms together. So as Sam was talked about, it's a very seamless experience where, the Glue Up login is going to then, enable them to be validated over into the Oasis platform for the actual consumption and the actual e-learning and anything else that is residing that gets built out within that account. A couple of quick things that I kind of wanted to show, in this. This does teeter into why we built the CPD settings in advance of this. We have the ability, of course, to create the different credit types within the back end of Glue Up if you have the CPE module. And as many of you may know, we actually do have the ability to issue sort of certificates from like event-based learning and have been able to do so for some time. So this is really a logical next step because so many organizations out there do both sort of like, let's say, in-person, education as well as having that more and more popular online education option as something that can be there as well. So jumping over into contacts, this is within the CRM module, and we'll go over to the CPD in a moment. Just wanted to show like what the UI looks like here. Just built this so it's not populous with too much data, but now there is a CPD, basically the courses and events that one has taken, and you can see progress. We can also do this pretty much at like sort of like the umbrella level, so to speak, for the whole organization under the CPD module. So just know that both from an activity timeline standpoint, as well as the CPD, the credits themselves and everything that folks are participating in, whether it's electronic or not, will flow straight into the activity timeline as well as be parked in the actual CPD, for ones that are awaiting approved or declined. So you'll have that at the CRM profile level. And then actually, of course, with this new module, it's going to have, of course, a dashboard. You have a credits approval area. So that's if the setting is that we need to approve folks. Maybe there was a test-based thing, we needed to grade it or something along those lines. You got your approved and declined. And then course registrations. So we get to see all the people that are registered, what the status is, whether they're enrolled. Obviously, there's a drop down to do typical Glue Up fashion, just to show like how many people have actually completed or had credits claimed for these, and being able to parse out, see the color coding over here. Something that's fully completed would be green like that. But also, what's really great about this is, we have the ability to hide and show courses, and this is live data coming from the Oasis platform. And so as an administrator of Oasis, when I go in and maybe I import my SCORM files, and we have all of this, these courses created in the corresponding settings, we simply go into Glue Up and then we just hit sync. And once we do that, then we have a whole list of all of our, courses. What kind of credits are they? The pricing plan for each one, member versus non-member, as Sam was mentioning. And then, being able to control, I would say, the UI now in the member portal, where I still have my receipts in my wallet, for all of these transactions. It makes it so that it's a little less confusing. And what Sam had mentioned about having two logins. Obviously, this is something where it's fully integrated. There's an SSO for the users. That's like automatic provision the first time they log in. Um, Actually, Oasis now powers Glue Up University as well. So if I go to the Academy, which some of you guys know, it is actually powered by Oasis. So all this is in sort of one place. But the end user experience, I think, is really great. They will all have a dashboard where they can sort of see like their recent activity. They can go see all of their activity, upcoming CPD events that I'm registered for, the total activities that I've done, the courses that I'm enrolled in with those statuses of registered, in progress, and then of course completed, right? And I can go view that course, right? And it's popped straight over into Oasis via this link here. And then this is just parsing out the CPE events, but the entire course catalog actually flows straight into the interface. And so that's really the way that we wanted to make sure that it was kind of designed for all buyers, basically, both folks that are your clients, their members within a portal purchasing it, or if it's embedded within the website and they don't know your organization from Adam, and yet they're going to transact, and maybe that's their entry point, with the organization. So the good thing about that, of course, is now it's the same system. So now, if it's someone you don't know from Adam at all, it's going to build that CRM profile within Glue Up, and now we have healthy reporting there too. So now we can go see people that have maybe they just signed up and did a course or two, and those are great prospects for marketing campaigns, any kind of incentives, reaching out about membership and so forth, and of course CPD events. Eric, would you like to add anything to that, or is that pretty much kind of sum up, at least for today's intro
I
purpose?
think that's a pretty good summary of the different pieces. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there was a question in the chat I answered live, but just so everybody knows it, there was a question, will participants, so your members, your learners, have single sign-in, single login? And yes, just to answer that for everybody, absolutely. That's a kind of a critical piece. So everyone will be logging into Glue Up, whether they're going to the LMS or on the Glue Up side of things.
And I just sort of demonstrated that. So within the member portal, something I'm registered for, but I haven't even started. I would just click start and it automatically tokens on and over into Oasis.
Other questions people might have?
Let's do one more here.
So there's a question. An anonymous person. Ooh, they have mentioned they have webinars on Zoom. How can they conduct that and have attendance reporting? So that's a great question. Um, if this is educational in nature, meaning not like a marketing webinar, etc., you can have the webinar be done via our system, but integrated with Zoom, and then Oasis can actually track attendance. So you could say, hey, someone needs to be on here at least 35 minutes, or they're not allowed to claim a credit, take a survey. In addition, our system also has, we can track polling. So you could say, hey, we're going to do 5 polls. Someone needs to do at least 3 of the 5 polls. And so in that use case, you'd want to use our system. But again, still a single sign-on with Glue Up. The purchasing can happen out of Glue Up. If it's more for just a marketing event, then in that case, the LMS really isn't necessary. And Patrick will correct me if I'm wrong. But you could just run all of that out of a Glue Up.
You could. So when we create an event, we can have online events, and one of those integrations that we do have, I guess this is actually a Zoom webinar. So we would go sign into our Zoom. So that's under our integrations tab, where you would find most of our integrations. Uh, Not necessarily within this demo account, but we would sign into our Zoom. It does have to be a webinar or above level Zoom account, so not like the Zoom meetings account. Then attendance is tracked just like what it would be on the back end of this meeting. Actually, it'll flow back into the event module, and then you can download a sheet of all the attendees or something, or just look at it in the UI to see checked in the primary location as well as the duration of time that they were on a column of attendees.
And then it looks like we have another question. Someone has a webinar MP4, so an MP4 and a PDF. Can those be imported into Oasis? Absolutely. Oasis supports MP4s, PDFs, MP3s, all the standard, Excel, Word, HTML, SCORM, all those file types. Another question, will a client be able to relabel courses to exams? And I think, Patrick, that might have been where you did. Was there a place I saw on the sidebar that called it courses?
Yeah, if they're talking about on the Glue Up side, we have courses as a catalog, my courses.
Yeah, so I guess there's a question, can that be relabeled to exams? I think is the question.
I think in our current form, it's not something that we can just like immediately go into a setting and change. Eric might be able to add a thought to that though, just depending on how this is
Yeah,
built.
it's not a standard thing that's easy to change. But if
I
there's a reason, we'd love to hear it, just so we understand the reason behind the question. So we're happy to understand a little bit more.
And Tanya Lee asked that. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing. I do see in a lot of like courses and exams are sometimes used interchangeably a lot. In natively in Oasis, you can call courses exams because that does happen quite a bit. So usually most people kind of understand courses can mean exams. It's a great question. Um, oh, great. We are getting a ton of questions. Um,
Good.
does the purchase happen in Glue Up or Oasis? How does that look like for the end user? So that's a very good question. The answer is technically it could be either. The purchase can certainly happen in Glue Up, and then we're past that information. So basically, it's a unique code. So we know, Eric has purchased this unique thing, A, B, C, D, and then we know to open access. Or Oasis natively also has our own e-commerce. What I will say is GlueOps is definitely better at anything multi-currency. So GlueUp definitely beats us there. So if you are serving people across the world, I would definitely recommend going with GlueUps.
And I'm just showing the workflow here of somebody registering within this. So if there's a transaction necessary, then this would show up so that the payment details does need to be there. If it is free for the member, it's not even going to have that tab. So a reduced workflow for them on their behalf. And then, wow, I got a lot of cards saved on my Google, but we've got, where you put the credit card and everything. And then, we're always trying to always ask, like, to save this card for future use. Does this make it easier for future purchases, both, membership, renewals, all of those things that would take place on the Glue Up side? Good
And
question.
we got another good question. Our organization in Philadelphia, FYI, I live in Philadelphia, so I already like this question. Just switched to Glue Up and we love it. My question is this integration included on the current contract? If not, what's the cost? So I'll pass that to you, Patrick.
Yep. There's like a fairly nominal one-time fee. I'm wondering which organization. I kind of had a sense of. Nice to meet you, by the way. I wasn't involved in the sales process, but thank you, and we're looking forward to partnering. It's a one-time fee of $1,000 and an annual fee on top of that.
Great question.
And then, of
And
course, you would contract with Sam and his team separately just to get their actual software.
yes, we obviously do have a fee to use Oasis LMS. And that is actually, if you go to our website, there is a pricing page there. So we do have some nice transparent pricing. You can look right on our website, oasis-lms.com. We got another few questions. This is great. Can you record the webinar? Alana's asking that. My guess is, Alana, what you're asking is, can you record a webinar and then upload it to the LMS for on-demand consumption? Yes, absolutely. The webinar itself, that can happen in Zoom or other places. You'll have to record it there, and then you just take that file, that MP4 file, and you upload it to the LMS. The next question, will we have the ability to restrict materials based on payment data? So this is from an anonymous person. My guess is what this is getting at is, can there be member, non-member pricing? And the answer is yes. It may also mean like someone can't access the material until they've paid. So if I'm getting these questions, misunderstanding them, let me know. But the answer is yes to both of those situations.
Yeah, and Sam, let me jump in on top of that. So within obviously the SSO, the information that's important there is generally uh, membership is active or not active, and understanding, what is the course exam that they need to take, and then of course, how does that relate to what their action they're trying to take. So if they're trying to take a course that requires a active membership, they would be restricted based on the information that's coming through the integration.
Absolutely. Okay. Another question, does it integrate with Teams video meetings? So I assume we're talking about Oasis. If Oasis, then yes, that is an integration we're actually building for a mutual client right now. Eric and Patrick, I don't know if you knew that. That's for a ISP who just came aboard with both of us. So that should be up probably sometime in June on the Oasis side. Next question. This is Oasis specific. What are the main differences between Moodle and Oasis? So Tanya Lee's asking that. So I think the main difference, if you're a Glue Up user, is going to be the built-in integration. That's obviously key, right? Just like we talked about people not having to memorize 2 usernames and passwords, sharing data. Moodle is kind of an open source LMS. It can do anything, but as long as you have the development resources and internal staff to do it. Oasis is a software as a service product like Glue Up, out of the box with unlimited support. And we're really focused on and our primary bread and butter is working with associations. So without doing a demo, I would say that's probably the generic way I can describe that for you. But happy for you to reach out and I can do a personalized demo for what you're looking for. Okay, next. Someone asked, our organization allows only paid participants to register for exam. If a participant pays later, will the exam automatically open for registration? So I'll take a stab at this. Um, the the way I interpret this is in the questions, the person asking the question, there's a difference between registration and payment. From Oasis's point of view, registration and payment are the same thing. So we just care when someone registers. So if someone registers in Glue Up, whether or not a fee is associated with that, then in real time that can be passed to us and we open access. So it's potential. I'm not fully understanding that. But yes, I believe we can accomplish what you're asking. Next question, does Oasis have any nonprofit pricing? So feel free to email me. I don't think the chat's available, but I can drop my I'll type my answer in. It's my email. You can go to oasis-lms.com and reach out to me. Samuel.hirsch@oasis-at360factor.com is my email. Yeah, I don't think we have a chat where I can drop it. But I'll give everyone my information and we can talk about nonprofit pricing. Someone also asked, how do we get in touch to get a demo? I'm going to put in my email for you to reach out to me directly, and I will move on to the next question. And then I think we're getting close to the last questions. Can users add courses to a cart? And is there a possibility to recommend courses to learners based on their previous study history or similar trends on their learning journey? How does that work? So I'm going to answer this from Oasis perspective, and then Eric and Patrick, I'll pass it to you. From the Oasis perspective, yes. If you use our e-commerce, we do have a cart functionality where multiple things can be, put in the cart and then register. And then the browsing experience can also happen in the LMS. And we do have, obviously someone needs to be signed in, but we do have the ability for recommended courses based on their interests or other things they purchased. That is all part of our system. And then another question asking, does Oasis have proctoring for exams? Yes, we do have AI proctoring as part of our system for exams. So happy to send a video of what that looks like to you, and feel free to reach out as well. These are great questions. Thank you all.
It looks like that is all the questions we have. We'll give everybody just a minute if there's another question that anybody wants to drop in.
We're excited for this.
Great. Thank you, Lawrence.
Well,
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Pat. We are extremely happy everybody was able to join us this here in Tyson's. It's the afternoon. Look forward to hearing from everybody on more and certainly what the Oasis and Glue Up integration can do for you and everybody who is a Glue Up customer. We continue to obviously evolve and innovate, and we thank you all for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
thanks, everyone. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you all. Thanks, Sam.